For almost 3 years, America told itself the same comforting story that the artificial intelligence race was already over, that it had won, that the future would be built in San Francisco, run on American chips, and owned by American companies. Then, on a quiet weekend in July, a company most Americans had never heard of, 4,000 miles away in Beijing, released something for free. Within 48 hours, it had knocked billions of dollars off the American stock market, forced Silicon Valley into damage control, and made one uncomfortable question impossible to ignore. What if America never actually had the lead it thought it did? This is the story of Kimi K3 and the summer the AI empire cracked. To understand why one model release caused this much panic, you have to understand what America believed. For 3 years, the rules of the AI race felt like laws of physics. Building a frontier model, the kind that can reason, code, and write like a human, was supposed to require three things almost nobody else had: billions of dollars, tens of thousands of Nvidia's most advanced chips, and the best researchers on Earth, nearly all of them inside a handful of American labs: OpenAI, Anthropic, Google. That was the moat, not a product, a barrier so expensive and so exclusive that no one outside the circle could cross it. And as long as the moat held, America wasn't just leading the race, it owned the racetrack, which is what makes what happened next so unsettling. Because the company that crossed the moat wasn't a Silicon Valley giant, it was a startup barely 3 years old, with a name out of a spy novel, Moonshot AI. In Chinese, it means the dark side of the moon, and at the center of it is a 34-year-old named Zhilin. Here's the part America doesn't like to talk about. Yang didn't learn to build AI in Beijing. He learned it here. He earned a machine learning PhD at Carnegie Mellon in 4 years. He worked at Google Brain. He worked at Meta's AI lab. He was trained inside the exact American system that was supposed to be untouchable. And then he went home to China and built the thing now shaking it. Backed by Alibaba and Tencent, with nearly $2 billion behind him, Yang spent 3 years quietly doing what everyone said was impossible. And in July of 2026, he stopped being quiet. On July 17th, Moonshot released Kimi K3. The numbers alone were a statement: 2.8 trillion parameters, a memory big enough to read 1 million words at once. But the numbers weren't the shock. The results were. In front-end coding tests, Kimi K3 beat OpenAI's GPT 5.6 Sol. It beat Anthropic's Claude. In broader rankings, it finished ahead of models America considered the best in the world, while costing 40% less. And then came the part that changed everything. Moonshot didn't lock it away. They made it open weight, free. Anyone, anywhere on Earth could download it and run it themselves. Demand was so overwhelming that within 2 days, Moonshot had to stop taking new users. The servers couldn't keep up. A Chinese startup had just handed the world a model as good as America's best and charged nothing for it. If this felt familiar to Wall Street, that's because it had happened before. Rewind 18 months to January 2025. Another Chinese lab, DeepSeek, released a model that appeared to match American AI at a fraction of the cost. The reaction was instant and brutal. In a single day, Nvidia, the company whose chips the entire AI boom is built on, lost $589 billion in market value, the largest one-day loss for any company in the history of the stock market. So when Kimi K3 landed, the market flinched on reflex. The Nasdaq dropped. Chip stocks sold off again. Traders called it simply the DeepSeek Flashback. Twice now, in 18 months, a Chinese AI release had reached across the Pacific and rattled the most valuable companies in America without firing a shot or charging a dollar. But the deepest damage wasn't on the stock ticker. It was in the panic behind closed doors, because Kimi K3 set off a fight America's tech giants had spent years trying to avoid. Washington had long been nervous about OpenAI, models anyone can copy, fearing China would use American research to train its rivals. The instinct was to lock things down. Then, days after Kimi K3, something remarkable happened. Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, and OpenAI, companies that agree on almost nothing, signed the same letter. The message: do not ban open models, because if America retreats from OpenAI, the world won't stop using it. It'll just use China's instead. At the same time, the White House was moving toward a new rule, a 30-day government review before any frontier model could ship. America, the country that built the open internet, was suddenly debating how much of AI it needed to close off to keep pace with a system it no longer controlled. So did China actually erase America's AI lead? Here's the honest answer. And it's messier than the headlines. Some analysts think the panic was an overreaction, a rerun of the DeepSeek scare. Kimi K3 isn't even cheap to run. It's priced like America's top models, which means building frontier AI still takes serious money and serious chips. The stock market clawed back most of what it lost within days. By that measure, America's lead is bruised, not broken. But that misses the real shift. The threat was never the price, it was the openness. A closed model you can restrict. You can sanction it, slow it down, wall it off. You cannot unrelease something that's already free. The moment Kimi K3 went open, it stopped being a product and became a fact of the world, running on laptops, in startups, and inside rival labs everywhere for good. That's the part America can't undo. For 3 years, America believed the AI race was a wall too expensive for anyone else to climb. Kimi K3 didn't climb the wall. It proved the wall was never really there. The AI race isn't over, but the story America told itself that it had already won didn't survive the summer of 2026. If this is the kind of story you'd rather have understood than just reported, that's what this channel is for. No hype, no doom, just what's actually happening in the AI age and what it means for you. I'll see you in the next one.